There we go. Live indeed. I hope you can hear me okay. I hope you are out there, guys. I know it'll be just a second before Facebook and YouTube decide they want you to know that we're live. So I'm going to give you that moment, but I would like to say thank you for joining because I know you'll hear that sooner or later. So, again, thank you for being on with us today. It's Miguel Rodriguez for the Bakersfield Gentleman. And as the title might suggest, we got a special guest for you today. And I'm very excited to have him on. He's been a friend of the show since, I would say, day one. If not longer than that. So I'm very happy to have. In fact, before all the craziness was happening, this was already planned. This was already in the works. So it honestly could not be better timing for myself. I hope it works out for the guest. And without further ado, it is in fact David Blanco of Blanco Cigars. So if you will do us a favor and share this wherever you like to watch your or wherever you like to share your cigar related content, whatever Facebook group you're in, whatever YouTube channels you might want to head off to, whatever buddy you want to tag to make sure they get some quality information today, because that's what we'll be touching. And then before I bring them on, I will say the raffle is still going. We have all the 5-packs and sample packs over there. We have all the boxes here, so I'm in the way. If you guys want a chance to win any of that, just get a hold of us after the show. I'll bring it up again later, but that's not what you're here for right now. We're here to have an awesome conversation with an awesome person, and I'm going to bring them on right now. And since I usually have a chance to share, which it's not letting me because we haven't popped up yet on my own feed. Wonderful. Thank you, Facebook. I'm going to do the sharing a little bit later. So I hope you're ready for this because I know I am. And here it is, Mr. David Blanco. There we go. Hey, brother, it's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too, man. And good to see everybody else out there. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. I'm a little cash tonight on a Monday night. Just doing a T-shirt and going to smoke a cigar with you guys and answer some questions, I'm sure, and enlighten you any way I can. Whatever you guys want to hear about the cigar business or any of the other things that go on in the world. And I'm a veritable cornucopia of useless information. So
I disagree, sir. It's very useful information whenever I learn. All right.
I guess notes. It's all relative, right?
yeah. Come on now. Come on. In fact, before we go too far into cigars, there was a project over at PCA that we were talking about, accessory and humidor wise. That is just, I want to make sure everyone gets the full details. And having you on is the perfect way to make sure that we share about that, because it is something that is going to be very unique. And I think a lot of guys are going to want to add to their collection. Because I know we all rock probably, myself, I've got 2 humidors here at the club, not including, just the tubadors and whatnot, but the ones that actually look nice, the ones that I don't mind showing off from time to time. But there's something even more beautiful coming our way, is there not?
Oh, yes, sir. So I was able to wrangle this deal actually kind of by luck. Right place, right time, right people. And sometimes it's better to be, what do they say? Lucky than good, or lucky than smart, here is the phrase. So I was definitely lucky on this one. I was hooked up with a lady out of Cuba. She lives in Cuba. She lives in Havana. And her family's been making Cuban handmade, all wood, artisan humidors for the past almost 30 years. And they could never sell the humidors off the island. They were only for sale on the island to consumers, one at a time. And whether you were a tourist or you lived there or wherever, and you could buy these custom humidors. She would actually take orders, custom make them, and add artwork to them, and name them, and logo them, and she can do all kinds of stuff. She's got a bunch of artisans working with her, and all of this wood, by the way, this is one of the big things that makes this very special. The wood is all reclaimed wood from all over the island. So you have like 80, 90, 100-year-old wood that they're ripping out of these homes that are falling down and dilapidated all over the island. There's no upkeep. It's kind of like what you do here in the States with the copper wire. Well, they're doing it with all the wood. And they have all of this antique wood, whether it's cedar or oak or cherry or mahogany, all of this old stuff. And they know exactly how old the wood is because they know when the houses were built. So
makes sense, and that is a beautiful thing to utilize.
Yeah, whether they're
nothing going to
beams.
waste.
Yeah, they're beams and doors and windows and even barrels. They got these old oak barrels that they're reclaiming, and then they're taking them apart and and using the wood and creating these artisan pieces up to 100, 200 count, 400 count humidors, humongous, down to 20 count humidors. All different finishes, all marquetry work on the outside and inside, all hand done the old school way. And they also do metal work with brass and copper, and I mean all this beautiful artisan stuff. So anyway, I ran into these people and talked to this lady who's running it, and I talked to this young gentleman, Cuban gentleman, who was looking to try to work a deal to import them into the United States. And of course, we have an embargo with Cuba, right? So I constantly get asked, how are you doing this legally? Well, she had to go through a process. She's been making humidors, and she got pretty tight with the diplomatic corps in Havana, because when people get gifts that are diplomats when they come to the island, what is Cuba known for? Cigars, rum, and they can have a custom-made humidor with that diplomat's name, the country logo, all handmade, carved in wood or whatever, done in metal. So a lot of these diplomats would go to her for gifts. So a bunch of very important people. I was told President Obama has one from her. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia or something has one from her, I was told. All these important diplomats that come to Cuba and visit. And of course, they custom make these humidors for them. So we had her inquire, I guess, to the U.S. Embassy and apply to see if she could export product to us in the United States. And I guess it took like 2 years of this entire process because, of course, these companies have to be vetted, because if there's any Cuban government involvement whatsoever, they get thrown to the side, because that's what the Cuban embargo is about. Not doing business with Cuban entities that have any government involvement, which, by the way, is like 98% of all the companies in Cuba have Cuban government involvement. That's the nationalization, right? The communist type deal. Well, as of, they have these little small companies that are very niche, and the government never involved themselves in these small artisan companies because there was never any money in it, really, right? So she didn't have any fingerprints of Cuban government involvement and ties to the government, and the U.S. government approved the export and import into the United States. So I am now legally able to get them literally from Havana, flown to Miami, and then to our offices, which are in the Clearwater area, Tampa area. So when I spoke to her about this, I was like, listen, if we're going to do the importing into the United States, and I'm going to be a distributor, and I'm going to build the brand off the island, why don't I do the world, right? Because you have people in Europe, you have people in Asia that would want to buy these things. Nobody has Cuban humidors, handmade artisan humidors. So I have worldwide distribution, an agreement with her for worldwide distribution of Duyos, which is the name of the brand. Duyos, Duyos humidors. So if you want to look it up on Facebook, Instagram, website, look up duyoshumidors.com or Duyos Humidors on Instagram or Facebook. You'll see the sites and some of the work that they can do. And I mean, we even do cabinet furniture. She's in Cuba scouring these homes for these old antique hutches and cabinets. And she converts them. She'll completely refinish them, line them with cedar on the inside, light them up, put shelving in it for a humidor. I mean, she's done wonderful, wonderful work. We're actually doing one right now for a gentleman, a friend of mine who has a huge ranch, and he wants his ranch logo on the humidor. It's a cabinet, it's huge with etched glass. It's like 120-year-old mahogany cabinet. And it's going to be completely redone, and in brass or copper or a combination of both. She's going to recreate his ranch logo, and then we're going to import it into the United States. So go take a look at any of those social media or website types issues and take a look and see what. And we do custom work. That's the other thing. We can do custom work. Costs a little bit more. These things aren't cheap, mind you.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about 70, 80, 90, 100-year-old wood. Where are you getting that, by the way?
Oh.
I actually had a guy. We talked to a guy in Texas, and we're like, hey, listen, we want you to make this 100-count humidor, same dimensions, and oh yeah, it's got to be like 80-year-old cedar and oak and stuff. He's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, no. I'm trying to get a comparison in cost and price, right? And he goes, well, if I could even find the wood, it's going to be about 10 grand for the wood, not for the humidor, just for the wood.
Just the wood.
Right. Well, where do you find an 80 to 100-year-old wood like that? I mean, it just doesn't exist. You'd have to reclaim it from something, right? So it's not like they got this wood sitting around. And in Cuba, it's not like there's a Home Depot or someplace where they're going to go pick up the lumber yard. No, there's no. Everything's reused. So it's a beautiful thing. It's very unique. It's all hand artisan. We're feeding about 20 families doing this, and the money's going straight to them, which is the important part for me as well, to be able to do something that is. And by the way, it's never been done before. We actually premiered at this trade show this past year at the PCA in New Orleans, which is where you saw them. And it was the first time ever on the showroom floor that there was ever anything made in Cuba for sale legally. And we had a big sign that said handmade in Havana, Cuba, which was pretty cool. My family's, of course, Cuban heritage. So I'm the first one in my family born in the United States. So that was something cool for me to be able to do, to be the first to do that. And of course, I got LA Blue right down the hall from me, right? They can see our booth and we can see their, and they're kind of like, what is that? It was complete surprise, complete shock that we could actually do that. I actually had a couple buddies of mine that were cigar manufacturers. They're like, how are you doing this, Dave? What kind of shenanigans are you pulling? I'm like, I'm not pulling any shenanigans. Can't risk that. I've got all kinds of import-export licenses. Our warehouse is a U.S. Customs bonded facility. I can't play around with any law issues, right? I got to do everything above board. So for me, it's, they were just surprised. And we didn't know if we were going to get the ability to do this, but a few months before the trade show, they let us do it. So take a look at it, everybody. You're never going to see them anywhere else but through us. So it's definitely something special.
Awesome. And yeah, honestly, like when you have to do everything by the book, it feels a little like magic even getting it done. That's an impressive feat to just to be able to have the opportunity to bring them over and everything taken care of like that, all above board like that. That's an accomplishment in own.
Yeah,
it's impressive, very impressive.
I'm hoping one day I can send back the other way some of my cigars and sell them in Cuba one day.
Wouldn't hurt, right? I think they'd appreciate it.
One day. Yep. One day. Hopefully that'll happen. The world will have had to have changed for that to happen, but I hope it does. So that's the latest and greatest. Yeah, that's the latest and greatest when it comes to cigar adjacent for me, because this is actually the first time I've ventured into any type of accessory. I mean, I was never a lighter and, humidor guy. But when I saw this opportunity, I was like, there's no way I could pass this up. This is something so unique, and I could, the sky's the limit. Since we can do custom work, I can do Blanco humidors, custom made Blanco humidors, and sell those and bring those to market, maybe even with a limited edition cigar. I can do all kinds of things. I could number them. I mean, these could be beautiful, beautiful pieces. So she does great work. You guys take a look at it. You'll see what she does over there. Anyway, so that's the big thing for that. I do have some other cigar projects in the works, some new stuff. But if you want me to answer questions, I'm happy to do that. I could just talk about what we're doing. I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, actually, before we go into any questions or whatnot, is there any projects that you can talk about? Because I understand sometimes it's a little close to the chest. You got to wait to get some word out there. But if there's anything that you are okay talking about right now, can we go into that?
I absolutely am. But before I go into that, I think we mentioned before we came on that this was an anniversary, and we probably want to say something.
It is. This is actually, today is I posted pretty much everything I could when things were happening with Frankie. I didn't want to leave anybody out, and the easiest way for me to do that was just Facebook and updates. And today's actually 1 month since we lost Frankie. It was the 21st of last month, 12:27 in the morning. And it's nice to have good people around like this moment right here. I know we're not in the same room, but we're still smoking a cigar together. I got a couple gentlemen here I'm smoking with over at Culebras, as you all know, that's where we shoot this out of. And I cannot be more thankful for all the people around me, family, friends, everybody. You've all been wonderful. And I know if he could, he would be smoking a Milano with me earlier. We'd be smoking a Blanco together, but it's gonna happen again one day, you know. It's just it is what it is.
Here's the Frankie. Salud.
Oh man. But
yeah, it's all good, brother.
Yeah. But yeah, Eduardo, yeah, I appreciate that, brother. Actually, before we switch over to we were talking events too a little while ago, and there's one I wanted to ask you about for Cigar Heritage Festival. Will I be seeing you over there?
Yeah, I should be there again this year. We try to do that every year. I mean, there has been a couple of years in the past where some conflicts have come up, but yeah, I should be at the Heritage Fest. And I got a ton of stuff coming up in the next month, but you were asking me about some projects that I can talk about. I'm working right now on a project that's pretty cool. For those of you that might be in the Greek fraternity world, there's the largest Greek fraternity in the United States is Tau Kappa Epsilon. For those of you that might be familiar, it's TKE, which we call Teak, right? Ronald Reagan was a Teak, for example. I mean, look up Teak as far as you're going to see some very famous people, even today, that are Teaks. I'm actually doing, they just had their 125th anniversary of the fraternity's founding. And we are going to be doing the official Teak cigar for that fraternity, which is pretty cool. And that's going to be probably coming to market, I want to say probably 3 months, just to be sure. Just, you never know how things go on in Central America and everything else. But blend is done. I'm working on packaging, and we should have it to market in 3 months, hopefully before Christmas. Obviously, that would make way before Christmas, sometime in the fall. So that's a big project we're doing. What else we got going on? I got a bunch of smaller private label stuff that I'm doing. That's not of anything of note that anybody would recognize the name for. So I probably that's fallen on deaf ears on that one. Major projects I'm probably going to be starting and finishing before the end of the year. Our 30th anniversary cigar. I can't believe I'm saying that. I've been in business now coming up on 30 years. And I mean, AJ Fernandez just came out with his 20th anniversary.
Jeez.
I'm doing 30. I've known AJ since before he had his own factory because he worked with Plasencia, because he's family with Plasencia. And so I was at the Plasencia. I've been working at the Plasencia family because they're my cousins too since 2000. 98 we incorporated, and I was doing work before that, 96, 97, and then 98 we incorporated. So that's why 30 years is coming up in next year. And then of course we met AJ when I went down to the factory in 2000, and now look what he's done in the past 20 years. It's unbelievable. I'm so proud of him and happy for him. Even with the fire he's had, he'll be fine. He's going to be fine.
Oh yeah,
he's created an absolute monster down there. But still working at Plasencia. I'm going to be probably branching out for the first time and doing some work in some other factories, smaller factories, doing some other projects that are not necessarily Blanco named, but stuff for other people, some white labeling and stuff, just to spread some love around down there. And as you know, Plasencia is growing themselves, so it's always a competition for time and space and production space. So moving forward, some of the off things that I do for other people, I might be looking to work out of other facilities other than the main Plasencia factory, which is where I've done all my work for the past 25 years. But there are a lot of great factories down there, and friends of mine have always asked me to work at their factory. Hey, can you do some stuff over? Let's work together. I'd love to work with you. And now it looks like there'll be an opportunity to do that. So there'll be some cool collabs possibly coming up. But just trying to grow the Blanco brand and continue to do it every day, every year, and that's why I'm hitting the road as I do every summer to do the summer it's almost like a concert series, right? Except that I don't have a band. I'm a one-man band.
Can they get you to sing when you hit the lounges, though? Is that what's going to happen?
I've done karaoke once or twice in a cigar shop. I have been known to do that. Depends how much I drink, right?
But
I can read off some locations over the next. So Friday is my first event where I hit the road, and I'll be on the road probably about a month straight. And just so you guys get it out there and understand how this works for us guys in this business, we don't fly. Because if I flew, I'd fly over like 50 shops, going from Tampa to, Nashville. I'd fly over hundreds of shops in Atlanta, in Chattanooga, and on the way up. So what we end up doing is we end up driving and we create basically almost like a bus tour for a band would, right? And they'll go do events in a certain, geographical area and they'll do it over a period of 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or whatever. So for me, over the next 4 weeks, if your guys are in any of these areas, I'd love to see you come out to the shops, and we can have a cigar. We're going to be doing raffles, and some shops do pig roasts, and other guys do hamburgers and hot dogs. But we're always raffling like humidors and cigars and all kinds of cool stuff like that. Actually, I'm raffling off for a shop in Pennsylvania. They want to raffle off a trip to Nicaragua because I do tours to the factory.
What? Oh.
So we're raffling off a tour to the factory. And that's for, I'll mention that one to you in a minute. So let's start from the top. And I'll be posting this all on our social media as well. So if you want to follow us at blancocigars.com is our website. But the events are usually posted on our social media, which is either Blanco Cigar Company or Blanco Cigars on Instagram or Facebook. Or if you want to follow me, I usually post it on mine as well on Instagram and Facebook. That's Instagram is David Blaco 007, and Facebook is, of course, just David Blanco. And then you can put Blanco Cigars around and it'll come to me. There's a bunch of David Blancos out there, believe it or not. I didn't know that. But there's a bunch of everybody out there, apparently. I got a lot of doppelgangers.
Found that out
So
fast.
Our first event this Friday, as I was mentioning, will be in Chattanooga at Holy Smoke Cigar Shop. It's actually in Eastridge, Tennessee, which is a suburb right there, borders Chattanooga. So that's Friday, July 25th at 6 to 9 p.m. at Holy Smoke. The 26th, the next day, I'll have driven all the way up to Beaver Creek, Ohio, to the Wharf Cigar Lounge. Very big and old shop up there in Beaver Creek. That's just north of Dayton. At the Wharf, great shop. They got everything under the sun. If you're in the Ohio area and you haven't been to the Wharf, you should check it out. Later that day, that's going to be an 11 to 3 p.m. event. Later that day, I drive across the state to Medina, Ohio, which is by Akron, for a 5 o'clock event going till 9 p.m. At Havana's Choice Cigars in Medina. Okay. And then the 28th, which is a Monday, we're going to be doing an event at a cigar. It's in sponsorship with the Cigar Lounge, which is also Havana's Choice, which is not owned by the same people anymore. They split that shop up. It's another Havana's Choice. The 28th, it'll be at the Basement in Twinsburg, Ohio, which is in the Akron area. So if you're in the area and you're familiar with the Havana's Choice, the Basement is in Twinsburg as well, in the same town they are in, and they do a cigar night at a bar lounge area over there. We'll be there from on Monday the 28th from 5 to 8 p.m. The 30th of June, which is that next Wednesday, I'll be at Trial and Error Cigar Lounge in Bridgeville, PA. That is a suburb of Pittsburgh. I'll be there from 7 to 10. So we'll be there all night. Going to be partying. They got a pool table, darts. These guys are really young. Got a great new shop. Just getting their feet wet. This was their first trade show I think they went to. And I met them when I was up there actually before the trade show when I was doing my rounds the last time. And I got to meet them and hit it off with them. Really nice guys.
Love
then on Thursday, the next day, Thursday the 31st of July, I'm at Stogie Bird, which has a new location in Clairton. That's Clair, Clairton, Pennsylvania. And for those of you that are familiar with Stogie Bird, are you familiar with Stogie Bird?
Yup.
That's my boy Sam Lucia.
Yeah.
Sam Lucia. So I'll be at Sam's place on the 31st of July, which is a Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. Rocking it out over there. If you don't know Sam Lucia, what a character, man. He owns Lucia Cigars. He had a bunch of brands out himself. Before that, he was the guy behind the Nub, the Cane, the Daytona for Oliva. When he worked for them, he's got a long history in the industry, in a very honorable one. After that, on the 1st, the next day, which is Friday the 1st of August, I've only made it 1 week, guys. The 1st of August, I'm at Breaker Cigars in Shamokin, Pennsylvania, from 6 to 9 p.m. And that is the shop that is going to be raffling off the trip to Nicaragua. So if you want to go to their social media page, if you buy a box or a bundle of Blanco cigars from them, you're going to get automatically entered into that raffle. I think they're only selling 25 boxes. That's it. So you got a 1 in 25 chance of winning an all-expense paid trip down to Nicaragua, 5 days, 4 nights. If you want to know about our tours, go to blancocigars.com webpage, and there's a tour itinerary. It's 5 days, 4 nights. I'm the only one that does a tour like this in the world. Nobody else does any other manufacturer. None of them do it. None of them do a tour like this. It's phenomenal. I have a lot of fun. I'm an Anthony Bourdain fan. I don't know if you ever watched Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah.
So my tours are kind of like an Anthony Bourdain show. It's about culture, food, sights. Cigars are always omnipresent. You do all the cigar stuff that you do, kind of like you do with the food stuff with him, but then he ventures out into everything else. And that's how I kind of set up the tour, to be a vacation and to learn about everything Nicaragua has to offer and to enjoy it while you're there. That's on the 1st of August at Breakers, but you don't have to be there to participate. You just go buy a box from them and you're automatically entered. The 2nd of August, I'll be at Smitty's Cigar Den in Lock Haven, PA. Good buddy up there in Lock Haven. That's August 2nd, Saturday from 4 to 8. So if you're up there, that's just north of Shamokin, northwest actually. And that'll be from 4 to 8 p.m. August 3rd, Sunday from 12 to 4, I'll be at La Vega Lounge in Mercer, PA. Heading back towards Pennsylvania now. I'm heading west. North of Pittsburgh is Mercer, Pennsylvania. It's La Vega Lounge over there at 12 to 4. And we'll be having a nice Sunday afternoon with them. Then I take a couple days off visiting shops. And I pop up all the way in Illinois on August 6th, Wednesday. I'll be at Little Havana Cigar Lounge in Frankfort, Illinois from 5 to 10 p.m. Another nice place over there. Beautiful lounge he's got. The 7th, I'll be all the way up and midway up in Wisconsin. I'll be in Appleton Cigar Company in Appleton, Wisconsin. That's Thursday, August 7th from 6 to 9 p.m. Then I drive all the way up to Minneapolis on the Wisconsin side of the border. It'll be at St. Croix Cigars in Hudson, Wisconsin on Friday. This is a very interesting shop. This event is on Friday the 8th. It starts at 9 a.m. It goes till 9 p.m.
Jeez.
We start with coffee and donuts. And we have 2 meals. We barbecue lunch. We barbecue dinner. We eat. We drink. We just party all Friday. That's just a thing that they do every Friday. They're open like 7:30. And they do coffee and donuts Friday morning. And so we do a big bash there. That's in St. Croix Cigars. Great bunch of guys over there, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on August 8th. August 9th, I head back down south. I'll be in Oregon, Illinois, which is a suburb of Rockford. It's between Rockford and Dixon, Illinois. I'll be there on August 9th. It's a Saturday from 4 p.m. to close. And these guys have a brewery as well. So they're going to be doing a big barbecue and a brewery Saturday afternoon. If you're in Oregon, Illinois, or in that general area, Rockford, Dixon, come on out to Bad Ash Cigars. Then I take a few days to go see some shops. And then I pop up again in St. Louis, Missouri on the 13th of August, which is a Wednesday from 7 to 10 p.m. in the evening on Wednesday. We'll be doing a barbecue over at the Riverman Cigar Company in St. Louis proper. The 14th, the next day, I will be in Havana Fine Cigars in Columbia, Illinois, which is across the river on the Illinois side from St. Louis. That'll be from 6 to 10. The 15th, I will be back on the Missouri side, west of St. Louis, at a newer shop called Retro Cigar. Cigar is spelled like a German word, cigar, Zigarre. That's in St. Peters, St. Peters, Missouri, which is just west of St. Louis. And that'll be Friday, August 15th from 6 to 10. Then the 16th, I'll be in Santino's Cigar and Cocktails in Imperial, Missouri. This guy's got 1,000 bottles of booze in the bar, behind the bar, 1,000 bottles. The place is off the chain. His humidor selection is great. He's got a huge selection of ours. He's got indoor seating, outdoor seating, downstairs lounge. He's doing a VIP lounge. This guy's got a tremendous facility. He's putting a ton of money into it. That's Santino Cigars and Cocktails in Imperial, Missouri, which is south of St. Louis, on Saturday from 12 to 5. I'll be there later than 5, having a few cocktails probably.
Fair, very fair.
But not too long, because I have 2 hours to get to my next event, which is north of St. Louis that same evening. On the 16th, it's a 2-for day. I'll be in Smoke and Sip in Florissant, Missouri. That's north. They call it North County, just north of St. Louis, where they had, not too far from where they had the tornado this past year.
Oh, wow.
And that'll be the 16th of August, Saturday. That's my second show in the evening. So I have a matinee and an evening show. Then the 17th, Sunday, the 17th of August, I will be at the Tinderbox in Fairview. This is veteran-owned shop in Fairview Heights, Illinois, which is back on the Illinois side, just away from St. Louis on the Illinois side of the river. That'll be Sunday, August 17th. And that, my friend, is my last event over there. And then I start heading south. I see a bunch of shops. I got to be back down to where I'm at home over here in the Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater area, because we have an event at a state cigar social in St. Petersburg, Florida on the 23rd of August from Saturday. That's a Saturday from 6 to 10. And I'm going to end it there. That is 1 month of my life, guys. 1 month.
I heard at least 2 double days. Yes. So, and this is going into your 30, and it never slows down.
No, the more popular and larger you get, and I learned this from Rocky Patel. I asked him this a long time. I'm like, man, you have so much success, and you've gotten so big, and you slowing down now? He says, Dave, you don't slow down. You're more in demand. So now everybody wants a piece of you. So you got more work. So now in his case, luckily enough, he's got Nish and Nimish, right? So now they split up the responsibilities and they can hit 3 times the work, right? I don't have a Dave 2 and a Dave 3 for me. So I do have reps, but they always want to see the principal.
That is fair. That is fair.
And so that's why you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. And I've made a lot of great friends over the years, traveling all this time, year after year. Sometimes I have the same place every year. It's like a staple of Dave comes back every year and does an event this month at certain locations. So it's become kind of a cool thing to do, an anniversary type thing, an annual event. And then there's all these new guys that want you to come out, and you're like, man, that's new. I haven't been there. I want to come see your place.
Oh, heck yeah. I do love that tradition kind of situation. Same time of year, hopefully that same month. Love that.
It's you get to see those same faces again, and you get to catch up. And that's where you really build the rapport and relationship with the consumers. And that's what this is all about. Our industry entirely is all about relationship. It's about what we're doing. And it's not only me with the shop owners, it's me with the managers, it's me with the consumers and the consumers back. So you have to be approachable. I know a lot of guys that aren't really approachable in this business. I know a lot that are, but I know a lot that are kind of standoffish. They're the head behind the brand, and you see them from afar, but not so much. You know what I mean? I'm not that guy, and I'm a blue collar guy at heart. And I grew up in the inner city of Chicago. First one of my family born here in the States. Of course, we're Cuban, but my family fled to the United States, and I was born in Chicago. And As you see, I got a Chicago Fire Department shirt on. I was a Chicago firefighter paramedic for 7 years. Before that, I was a deputy sheriff in Cook County. And I joined the Army out of high school, 30 plus years in the military. So it's either been service or cigars in my life. That's it. That's what I've done. I've wore uniforms of all types. And the other thing I have in my life is my cigars. And the cigar business is a heritage and legacy I don't want my family to lose, because we started that in Cuba in 1886. So I am the 5th generation in this business. Had I not brought it back in the 90s with my father and my uncle, who were from Cuba, and they were the 4th generation, and it would have died with them because of the circumstances, right? They had to flee here. Had it not been my interest in wanting to reignite the family legacy and keep it going for another generation, so I could pass it on to the next generation of Blancos, it would never have happened. So for me, it's a passion. You hear that word all the time. It's a passion. But it's also a responsibility, I feel, to keep the family's legacy and heritage going. I just think about all the work, and the size of our family's company back in Cuba was tremendous. Like everybody's had, there were a lot of big companies back then. And to have it completely evaporate, it was like, man, what could have been, what should have been, what might have been. I can't just let it slip through into the annals of history and not even attempt it. I'd always have that what if I didn't try. And here I am 27, 28 years later, almost 30 years later, and kicking and doing it right. So we want to thank all of our consumers out there that enjoy Blanco cigars. I want to thank you all for smoking and supporting our brand. So we continue to try to reach out to all those that haven't gotten a chance to try it yet. We've got about 7 brands out there, so it's not all Blanco. Primos, Cigar Obsession, Prince Hall, Above and Beyond, the Blanco 9, the Liga Exclusiva. I make cigars for other people, as I mentioned. So there are other brands out there that I don't even have my name on that are out there you might be smoking. So, but that's what's going on with Blanco, man. Got some projects, got some travel, and just keep it moving forward. Hopefully, this economy continues to pick up momentum, and it looks like we're getting a respite in certain areas, at least federally, with a lot of regulation and legislation against tobacco products. So specifically premium cigars. So that's always a good thing. All weekend, the big beautiful bill passed. Whatever you think of that, what my hope is that it puts more money in people's pockets. Because what is this industry about? Disposable income, right? True. I'm not bread. I'm not cheese. I'm not milk. I'm not eggs. You don't need to have a cigar. But when people are doing well, they have a job, they're doing well, and they have some spare money, they enjoy more of the things that they like to do. And that's what we are. We are a luxury product. That's what cigars are. Bourbon, 100%. Scotch, cigars, we're all luxury products.
I think that's a very important part to remember. It's that thing that you celebrate with, something that you can enjoy life with.
That's right. But you got to pay the rent. You got to feed the kids. You got to buy the medication. You got to pay the mortgage, and then you got to see what's left in your hand, right? So for us, all ships rise. When the economy does well, our industry does well.
Love that. It's true. Very true.
So I'm rooting for everybody.
Always. Yeah. It's never one verse. We can all go up at the same time as long as we're all playing.
Yep. All ships rise, my friend.
100%. You just mentioned a very, very busy couple of weeks, and right before that, we talked about some other brands that you are working with that are going to be at other factories, going out of the Plasencia factory. Are there any? If there's like a litmus test that you would propose, or any criteria that you have to hit for you to want to work at another particular factory?
Oh yeah, it's tobacco, availability of tobacco. So as a blender, that's what I do. I'm a master blender now. After all these years, I've been given that honor of being called a master blender, and I don't take that for granted by any means. If I don't have, imagine me being a painter. If I don't have all the colors in the palette, my painting can only be so good with regard to color and variety and ability to do different things. Same thing with tobacco. If I don't have the availability and the variety of the tobacco that I'm limited to what I can do based on the material I have to use. And that's the beautiful thing about Placencia. I have everything under the sun. It's all there. So I'm going to be looking for very specific materials to work with. And if those factories can provide those materials, then we have an opportunity to do some business together. And most of these guys, like I said, I've known for years. So I've talked to them and discussed, like, hey, listen, I'm thinking about this. And is that something you're interested in working with? And do you have the availability of tobacco? Because I can source some of it, or they can source some of it. I prefer to work on the blending side and allow them to procure the tobacco that I need and not have to go source it, although I have in the past if I've needed to, because it's just something that I'm the only one that's going to use in the factory, so I'll go source it. But in this case, I give them the opportunity first, and then if they're having problems finding what I need or what I'd like to have, I'll go try my sources and see if I can find the product, and then I'd have to go inspect the material, make sure it's quality, fermented properly, blah, blah, blah. And then I purchase the raw leaf and I bring it into the factory. So there's two ways to do it. But the bottom line is you're only as good as your material. There's 4 links in the chain of making a handmade premium cigar. Remember this, guys. The first one is farming. You got to have good material. The second one is fermentation. If that material is not properly fermented, it's ruined. It's garbage. The third one is a great blend. You could have great material, great fermentation process, and how many of you out there have smoked a cigar and went, not really my thing. Not really. Everybody's got a different taste, but it's got to be a good blend or people aren't going to like it. And then the final thing is you got to give that blend to quality rollers, right? The rollers are the ones who construct what I put together as a blend for you to experience. If they screw up the construction, it screws up the cigar, right? So all 4 of those links have to be met. Any one of those is a weak link, all 4 are lost.
Makes sense.
You can do the first 3 and then get it to the roller, and he could screw it up. It tunnels, it runs, it doesn't draw. Ruined everything.
Yeah. And everything you just mentioned, too, it takes, like you said, generations of knowledge to go into that. Obviously, there are some things you can learn out of books, but it feels like these are those steps that it isn't so. This isn't one of those things where you're just, it's not a book learning. It is a on hands learning from those who come before you kind of situation. And it's really, we mention this all the time on the show, but it's so important to remember the generations that go into creating something so wonderful and so unique to cigar. It is an art form, and there's a lot of science to that art form, sure, but the art form is still there nonetheless.
Absolutely. And the science has been derived through trial and error and through cataloging and from processing, because the data that's collected from every harvest, from every planting, from every season, we look at the results and we can say either great results, mediocre results, or bad results. And then we go, okay, what gave us a great result? How do we replicate that? And then we do it again, and then we try it again, and then we try it again. So the time that we're talking about in these generations of doing this is practice, refining, improving. It's like going to a doctor out of medical school and going to a doctor with 30 years of practice, right? There's the book, which you learn, but then there's the practical application. And dealing with curveballs through life, you learn how to compensate and adjust and maintain. And these are things in life that you just, with experience, anything you do in life, you get better at with those type of experiences because you've worked through the problems. And tobacco is no exception. We got too much rain. We got not enough rain. We got too much humidity. We got not enough humidity. We have economic factors. We have COVID, and suddenly we have logistic issues. We can't even get a container to move a product. What do we do? Then we have immigration issues where, 20% of the workforce suddenly leaves the country. Now what? So, some of these things are strictly tobacco related, and it's, repetition, and making sure the fields are properly maintained and the proper nutrition is replenished into the soil that's the practice every day. But then there's those curveballs, like I just mentioned, that the world happens, right? Life gets in the way. Life happens, and you got to as a business, separate from your specialty of tobacco growing, the business side of these things that you have to deal with can throw you a million curveballs. So I wanted to get into this business to make cigars. I've become a logistics expert. I've become a bookkeeper. I have become a marketing guy. I've become a designer. And this is part of why I make cigars with other people, because they come to me and they go, hey, Dave, I'm new in the business. Could you help me out with, I want to do a brand. So I become a consultant, basically, for a lot of these brands that are trying to get off the ground, and they have no idea how to do it. But what they want to do is they want to be in the business. Well, how do you get into any business without doing your market research, right? How do you get into any business without having some background in that business? You talk to a guy who has, and you work with a guy who has. And that's why they work with me as consultants for all these different brands that I'm working with. And I hold value for them because they're coming in like right out of medical school, right? And I'm the doctor with 30 years of experience saying, here, kid, you want to do this? Let me help you avoid a few potholes and help you to be successful, right?
So as you mentioned before too, like you said, the passion is there, but it sounds like you're taking responsibility, not just for your own legacy, but to be willing to share that knowledge with other people. The responsibility of knowing and being willing to share that kind of information is not a number that you can really put on it. It is invaluable.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to these guys, it is invaluable because they couldn't otherwise get to where they want to go without somebody. And not everybody's willing to share that knowledge. There's some self-preservation and interest in there because what I look to do is look to create long-term relationships with people that have a chance to being successful in this business. And I vet them to make sure that I'm not just involving myself with people who have no chance at all to succeed because they don't want to listen. They don't have the financial resources because, believe it or not, this is a very expensive industry to be in. So there's certain things that I will vet, and if they meet the criteria and requirements for what they're trying to do, then I'll entertain working with them, and their success is our success. So so that's how I look at that. But there are people I've worked with in the past that I probably shouldn't have, and people I didn't, maybe I should have. But it's just how it goes. You learn throughout the years. And my lighter just ran out of fluid, so give me 1 second.
No worries.
I'm trying to see if I get I mean, 1 second. I got to run and get a lighter.
No worries. I'm just going to hit these comments real quick, make sure I got everybody. So,
gotcha.
I know Eduardo asked about being close to Philadelphia. So you heard quite a few places that should be closer in your area. And I love Paul's comment, the 4 Fs: farming, fermentation, flavor, and formation. It's perfect right there. And Cam, I don't know if I will be at Bible study tomorrow night. My little sister's birthday is tomorrow. I didn't realize. I thought it was on the weekend, but that's when we're going to go out of town to go celebrate her birthday versus the dinner for her birthday's on it. So I don't know. For those who don't know, Culebras, we have our Bible study every Tuesday night. It is open to the public. You do not have to be a member for that. So if you would like to have a cigar and, talk about the Bible, it's a good time to be there. Just pointing that out there. But back to another. Oh gosh, I want to make sure I have that question in my head.
So can I get another?
That's when it always happens, right? That's when you run out of fuel.
I got 2 lighters.
Yeah. You are not alone on that. I was working over at 17th Street. It's where I work as a tobacconist, and we have, I don't know, 20 lighters, and by midnight or mid shift, it's not midnight, by the mid of the shift, all of a sudden none of them have fuel. And I know I filled these things up multiple times. I don't know what's going on. It's always when it's the most inconvenient moment. That's when it all just goes out the window.
We got fire.
There we go.
My Lord.
Now you're talking about the other two as family and friends in the industry. That's you have to have a bit of family and friends to do anything in this life. You got to have that support. No one does it all by themselves.
That's right.
It does not work that way.
And you said it a minute ago, Bible study. Nothing happens without the old man upstairs.
100%.
All God's plan.
100%.
So.
And so yeah, we were talking about I asked earlier about criteria for the factories, but that is a great point you brought up for criteria for people who might want to, get their brand started. Those things that you mentioned, it sounds maybe calculated to those outside, but you want to give them the best opportunity. You don't want to just throw them in because they say they want to.
Right, and I don't want to waste my time either because there's only so much time in my life, right? So I got to make sure that the people I'm working with or that want to get in this business either have the understanding of what they're actually getting involved in, or also have the financial wherewithal to be able to accomplish the goal that they want to achieve.
Yes.
Right. So you want to do this all day, but if you don't have the financial wherewithal, what are we doing here?
Right.
It just is not going to work. That's any business. I don't care if you want to open an ice cream stand. If you want to open an ice cream store and you don't have the money to do it, then what are you're pie in the sky, right? So you got to have what is the threshold? And so the first thing I asked them is, what's your goal? And once they tell me what their goal is, I say, what do you think it's going to cost to reach that goal? Because I know what it costs. And then I listen to their number. And if their number is nowhere in the ballpark, I go, like, you want me to burn your money now? I'll just burn it, or you can keep it in your pocket. But there's no way you're going to achieve what you want to achieve with that number. So let's just don't waste your time. I don't want you to waste your time or your money.
Yeah.
So, and that's how I kind of talk to people now about it. I'm like, listen, if you want to get in this business, what's the goal? And can you get there financially? Those are the two biggest questions, the first questions I ask. And then if I get the right answers to those, then we can talk about consulting and all the other stuff, the design and the blend and the size and the package. First things first, what's the goal and can you afford that goal?
Yeah. Keep them the best opportunity to succeed. It's the bottom line.
Yep. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people in this business that just take their money.
I could see that happening.
Oh yeah.
And you could chalk it up to, well, I was just trying to help them out, but
it's a short term thing. Yeah. And that's not what you want to do with people. That's not what if you know better and you know that their chances are probably not great, but you'll take the money right now because it's there. I'm trying to look long ball. I try to definitely look long ball.
That's 100% true, as it should be. As it should be. I mean, that's how you've been here for 30 years. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Life's a marathon, not a sprint, my friend.
I like it because I can't sprint, so I love that. Paul listed them all in the comments here, and I'm going to read them out to you guys. I think this would make a good article to put together in words. From the 4 F's we talked about first, the chain you talked about, farming, fermentation, flavor, and formation, friends and family, and finally that 6 being finances. 6 combinations, 6 pillars basically to something being successful. And that you can change the F's for, obviously farming and fermentation, but to, like you said, even an ice cream shop has those criteria that if you don't, take into account, you're just not giving yourself the best opportunity. And that's unfortunate because I love seeing people passionate about things, but you also have to have the realistic side. You've got to have that glass half full person letting you know these are the hard truths.
Yeah. Do I have the resources? Do you have the capability with the resources for what you want to achieve or not? Don't just burn your money, man. I've seen so many people lose hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in this business. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So, nobody wants that.
No. Yeah. And most times could have been avoided, but they didn't know what they didn't know, and nobody was there to tell them. Somebody from afar, I've seen it from afar. I'm like, oh, this doesn't look like it's going in the right direction. And sure enough, they'll last 2-3 years, and then bottoms up.
Yes, Richard, you're gonna farm an ice cream shop. I believe in you. If anyone can do it, I believe you can have it happen.
If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I just can't see them because of the screen.
No worries. I'm making sure we get things answered here. No, yeah. For some reason, StreamYard has not figured that out yet to make sure that the guests can see the comments. And they've been doing this for a little while. So this is not an attack on StreamYard, but we could get that a little better, guys. So if they are listening in, I'd appreciate it. But I'm doing my job. Don't worry, StreamYard. It's not all you. It's me as well. But going away from the financial side and a little more onto the what's fun and exciting. So we have the next month, but is there another, are you already planning another run? I'm sure you're already planning out ahead of time.
Yeah. So I'll be doing another fall hit out there, but it probably won't be till mid-October into November. And then mid-November, I kind of put a halt on the travel as much because I try to stay and do events locally to where I live, which is in the Tampa Bay general area, 100 miles around me for Thanksgiving and the hot Christmas holidays and stuff like that. I try to stay local just to be home every night and to be home during the holiday season.
Love that.
But I say that, but there have been times that I gotta have you at my Christmas party, and I really want you. And I'll head out and I'll fly out and I'll do an event from time to time. But I try to stay home for at least the holidays because the summer I'm usually never home. That's when everybody's busy up north enjoying the outdoors, right? So that's when they do all the big events. The winter they're all trapped in up there and they don't have a lot of events like they do in the summer.
That makes sense, though. I mean, for us, at least, Bakersfield area, certain parts of California and the West Coast, it's 100 and something out there. So events are a little more scarce, at least outdoor stuff.
Well, see, that's the thing. In the southern states, it slows in the summer.
Yeah.
And then it picks up during the other, fall and spring. But up north, it's the opposite. It's just the opposite.
Makes sense.
So that's why I spend more time up there in the summer, and more time in the south in the winter.
I like it. I like that a lot. Paul asked, what is one of the biggest mistakes that you've learned from? That's
biggest mistakes. I think it's the financial one. The biggest mistake was not knowing, as I went through things, this is how I learned, not knowing how deep the pool gets and how quickly it gets deep. So not being financially prepared for the things that happen, and then trying to figure it out to compensate for that. And so I've made those mistakes. I've survived them. That's the big deal, is to not make sure you don't make a mistake that kills you, right? That you can't overcome. So to be able to compensate or adjust fire quickly enough to be able to maintain and continue to move forward. But I will say that COVID was a big shot in the ass for companies like me. And when I say companies like me, I mean boutique and or companies that do business primarily with brick and mortars, because COVID shut a lot of shops down. I was not tied in huge with the online internet companies, which had their banner years, biggest years ever for the online guys, because everybody was at home. They couldn't go to their local shop in most cases because a lot of them were shut, or they couldn't, sit and smell. So they just order online and get it shipped to their house. And since I was not involved in that aspect of the business as deep as I now looking back say, oh boy, that I could have avoided some of this hurt had I been a little bit more diversified. So that's one of the big ones, and being able to financially withstand some of these things that have happened in the past 30 years. So for me, 9/11, I had to shut down for 2 years because I went to Afghanistan and my father went to Iraq. 2008, the housing crisis. People were walking away from their homes and their mortgages. How do I still maintain a cigar company? Remember what we said about disposable income? People were walking away from homes. We survived that. I had to diversify my portfolio. Then we had the whole S-chip deal. We went from 2.5 cents federal excise tax to 41 cents.
Yeah.
Largest tax increase in the history of the business, and a lot of people went out of business. I had to survive that, and I had to adjust, and that's why we became a U.S. Customs bonded warehouse. Then moving forward, we had the FDA issue. So we were grandfathered with a lot of things because we had been old enough, so we were lucky to avoid a lot of that. Had it gone through all the way, we would have been okay with a lot of aspects, but even that was getting kind of dicey. Then we had COVID, and I'm sure I missed a few things in there too, but then there's COVID. That shut everybody down. We couldn't get cigars. I mean, it was a nightmare. And then Bidenomics. Need I say more?
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
So this is life, right? You have to go through the ups and downs of life and the economy and figure all these things out. So every one of those had its own challenges that I had to meet and overcome. And to be sitting here today and talk to you, or I would have gone by the wayside like other people that did. And it has been challenging in the past, and I pray to God that my challenges become less and less as I move forward because I've learned from those things. I try not to repeat the same mistakes twice. I also have had some other larger companies to look at and watch their successes and learn from them, as well as learn from their errors and try to avoid the potholes that they've stepped through. So I'm not reinventing the wheel here with anything. I'm trying to just maximize what I can do with the resources that I have and continue to add on resources by doing work with other people. Because like you said, the more people that we work with together, the more success we have as a whole.
I love that. That's true. We all can rise together. And
Mhm.
I'm going to go into one little thing, and then there's more questions in there. But like what you're talking about, the online sales, and a lot of people have very mixed emotions because it's not a crime to buy your cigars online, guys. I totally get it. We're in California here, and it gets real difficult sometimes to find cigars, let alone the price tags that come in. But also, don't let that affect you from going to your brick and mortars and taking care of them, because if you don't go and shop at your brick and mortars, they're not putting on events. They're not going to be in business. You need to take care of your local brick and mortar. If you like that experience of being together, you like that experience of having a chance to win a trip to a factory, you're not going to get that without supporting your locals. All right. So just keep a balance, if you will.
That's the difference. What you just described, in fact, in a nutshell, is buying cigars online and experience. Two different things.
Yeah.
See, online, you're just getting the cigars. You develop that experience of your own accord somewhere, some way, somehow. You go to the cigar lounge, you're not just getting the cigar, it's the experience that goes with the cigar, whether it's camaraderie, fellowship, Bible study, Sunday football, pay-per-view, hanging out with the crew, domino tournament. That's what you're paying for in excess of the cigar. And nothing's for free. They got lights, employees, rent, insurance, right? State tobacco tax, which is what internet doesn't have, right? So that's why there's a big price differential. So one thing is a cigar, the other thing is an experience, and the lounges provide experiences. And that's where we've tried to set our flag, because we want people to have experiences with our cigars. That's how you build your brand, right? Now, that doesn't mean we're completely void of the internet sales. We actually set up our own MSRP store. You can go to blancocigars.com and buy cigars from us direct. MSRP, but direct, right? So I'm not competing with my brick and mortar, because my brick and mortar can, if somebody walked into a shop that you worked at and they were going to buy a box of cigars, what do you do?
No,
you give them a discount. You give them a discount.
Yeah.
I don't give a discount on a box. The box price is the box price. You see? But the difference is that the shops, any particular shop that sells Blanco, may not have the final third in Lancero. And that's the box they want. Well, you can buy the box from me, but I'm not giving you a discount, because then that would put me at odds with my brick and mortars, right? So I'm not trying to compete with my brick and mortar shops. I'm trying to give everybody the opportunity to buy our product that may not have it available to them because we don't have a brick and mortar around them. But if you have a brick and mortar around you and you want to buy the Blanco 9, let's say, you have a better chance of getting a better price at the Blanco 9 if you're buying more than one cigar. Because, by the way, I don't sell one cigar. I sell 5-packs and boxes. So you either have to buy a 5-pack or box for me, and you're going to get it at full boat. Unless I'm running like a flash sale or something like that for a holiday or for a special event or whatever. But shops can do that. Shops can do that every day. Every day you walk into a shop, you get 10 to 15% off on a box purchase. You don't get that from me. You got to wait for a special whatever, and you never know when it is. True. And that's how I balance that. So I'm not at odds with competing with my brick and mortars. But for the guy in the middle of Idaho who doesn't have a brick and mortar around, and Cigars International doesn't sell Blanco cigars, or JR doesn't sell Blanco cigars, well, they can go to Blanco Cigars and buy a box of Blanco cigars. You see? So that's why I'm trying. That's the trick, right? The trick is, remember I told you I learned a lot? One of the things I learned is provide the online sales. Now, there are shops that I do sell to that have brick and mortar that also have online sales.
Yeah.
Those are the people that I sell to. I do not sell to solely internet houses. Don't do it.
Nice.
That's it. I just don't do it. That's where I cut off, because I know those guys are not the friends of brick and mortars. Those guys are cutting the throat of brick and mortars. That's their whole purpose in life, is it's a race to the bottom. How cheap can I sell it and grab everybody else's business, and then I'll make it up later? That's not the business model I want to be a part of.
I appreciate that. All right, a couple more questions though, real quick. I know we're over hour, guys, but I want to get to these. Just a quick one from Richard too. How often do you make it to Texas?
Probably 2 to 3 times a year. I'm going to try to make it this fall, actually. And where in Texas did he say?
He's over in the Fort Worth area.
Okay, so Dallas Fort Worth. I just last year I was one of the sponsors of the Dallas Smoke Fest. I think it's called Smoke
Oh,
Fest
nice. Yeah.
or Smoke Week, whatever it was. So I do have brick and mortars that sell my stuff there, and I will be trying to get back down there soon. Kunoma's. It's a suburb. It's in a suburb of Dallas. Is a shop that I definitely sell a lot of cigars to, and is a very great support of ours. I give them a shout out. Kunoma's is definitely a good shop to take a look at in that area.
Nice. Okay, and then Eduardo brought this up real quick. So you mentioned about some of the other companies you work with, but are there any collabs that you would like to do in the future that you haven't done yet?
Yes, I can't say who they are because I don't want to put it out there, but yes, there are definitely some collabs I'd love to do. There's some people that I really respect in this business and that have come before me and that are still in this business that I look up to as far as their blending capability or the work they've done, the body of work they've done in the past 30, 40, 50 years that I would love to work with. And if I'm ever in a position to do that, I will definitely reach out to them and see if they're interested.
All right. Maybe once I get the finances in order, we'll have to do a gentleman Blanco cigar. We'll make it happen. I'd love that.
I'm on it, bro. I'm down for that.
Heck yeah.
That's easy.
It would be wonderful. All right, guys. I'll let you go, though, because we're over the hour. But before we do, is there anything you want to make sure we let everybody know about, just to make sure we get everything?
You got the events. BlancoCigars.com is the website. DuyoCigars is .com is the humidor website. Then we got everything on Facebook and Instagram. Look up Duyos Humidors and Blanco Cigars or David Blaco 007. Follow us on social media. If I didn't say it now, that's where you'll be able to get it.
There we go. The website is in the description, guys. If you want to just click it, it's also, I put it in all the comments. So wherever you have it right here, click on it now. Go check it out. All right. I'd appreciate it. Just saying. All right, guys. We'll let you go for now. Next week, we'll have another guest on. But for now, you'll have a great rest of your week. Dave, thank you so much for being on with me, brother.
God bless you guys. God bless you, brother. Stay smoky, and I'll see you guys out there at a cigar shop near you. Stay smoky with Blanco Cigars.